First up, we have Inspector George Shand, Acting Inspector Rob Wan from Queensland Police Service, Associate Professor Dr. Julianne Senyard, and Associate Professor Dr. Ellie Meisner from Griffith University, who are presenting on innovating emergency management training through cross-sector collaboration.
That's what you all look like, my God. Anyway, first and foremostly, thanks for the opportunity to come and speak to you today about our collaboration with Griffith Uni. We'll go through where we were, what our journey has been, where we're currently at, and where we hope to get to. I'll try and talk in English for you. Can't really promise that, but I've got two interpreters here, one Canadian, one Australian. Sounds like a joke of walking into a bar, but that's okay. Okay, so about roughly 18 months to 2 years ago, bumped into Julianne at another event or exercise, which I wasn't particularly happy at being at and was getting a bit bored. I'd had an issue that had been in my brain for basically since TC Debbie. And what basically our issue was that in amongst basically our own cohort of sworn officers was actually identifying that some of them didn't see themselves as problem solvers, weren't confident. But having said that, emergency service personnel, they do it every day. So it was about reawakening that and how could we do it. And we're trying to figure out who would help us on this journey. And this is when we bumped into the young lady beside us. I'll let Julianne talk about that part.
So what actually happened was, I'm an entrepreneurship academic, which is quite unusual when you're thinking about disasters. But if you think about entrepreneurs, they're also facing these complex decision-making. They're also looking at a lot of uncertainty. They're also having to make time-pressed decisions. So I said, wouldn't it be great if I could introduce some innovation tools to get some of George's crew thinking about disasters differently. So we did some EXO training around this idea of resourcefulness and resilience using a theory that I used in entrepreneurship called bricolage, which is about, if you can think about MacGyver entrepreneurship, like making do with what's on hand to create new things. How could we talk around those kinds of behaviors in a disaster-making setting? And so we went and actually did some EXO training, and we finished the day with a I wish, I want, I wonder, to sort of get the pulse of this is me as an academic collecting data, because I want to understand what they thought about the program. And I also, when we were talking about this idea of decision-making in context of uncertainty, how do we know that we're on the right track? Because often academics come into organizations and say, I'm looking for this data. With us, I was like, how do we create a body of evidence that supports our decisions in the training and the research? So I came in listening rather than requesting. So we got overwhelmingly, we got all this information around relationships and understanding relationships within disaster settings, and also about problem solving together. So as a result, we built both research and a pilot. So the research informs the pilot. And some of the research aims include, do you want to talk about them?
I can't read it. Basically, confidence, believe in your ability, basically. So people can actually go away and solve, sorry, it's up there. Every time I get a microphone, I think I'm going to do stand-up comedy, and that would get me in all sorts of bother here, to put it lightly. So essentially, another driver, which we didn't mention at the start, was the very, very experienced cohort is retiring in the next 18 months to 2 years. People who naturally, they know what to do, how to do it. They go from A to Z very, very quickly. And we were a brand new command as well. We've gone from 6 to 126. So we're bringing along a lot of public servants and ununiformed people. How can we bring them to the party and for them to be problem solvers, be comfortable being uncomfortable? I've been one for 35 years, doesn't bother me, but somebody who works 9 to 5, what can we do to educate them to be like that and be confident? If you think about it, if you've all got your coordination centres, and people will go away and basically sort their own stuff out. I was going to use another word there, but I stopped myself. If you can do that, basically things get done quicker. People identify the problems at a very earlier juncture, and what you're actually doing is actually doing a bit of succession planning as well. So you're bringing those people through with you. So it was trying to convince our hierarchy that it was the right thing to do. Again, I've been a police officer for almost 35 years in Europe and here. And the night before, I'd have to admit, I was a little bit nervous if I was doing the right thing. A little bit of a sleepless night thinking, because police are the worst audience to educate and convince. So Julian says, I'll tell you what, we'll get some feedback. And I said, well, what would that be? She goes, I wish I wonder. And I was thinking, you're in the wrong place today. And she explained it like, I wish we could do this. I really want more of this, or I want to do this. So he walked out the room, came back in, and never in my time have I seen a whiteboard so full of feedback. And I thought, okay, all right, we're on the right track. We need to go and do something about this. And this is how the devisement of the course, well, the first part of it, and a lot of the people here have got participants on it from the whole of government, because we identified that it's not really just for us, we can help other people too. And that occurs in 2 weeks' time. So that's been devised by, I'll let Julianne explain how they've done it, because she's the academic, not me.
So initially, I actually said, well, for us to build this, we need to make sure that we're on the right track. And so I actually interviewed all types of people within the disaster and asked them about some of the topics we believe were important, to make sure whatever I designed was actually aligned with what I was hearing in the interviews. But then Rob also came in, and Rob, can you talk about the podcast?
Yeah, so we looked around that idea of we were losing people. People were retiring, they were leaving the sector, so we identified a rather large group of people. We've got about 35-ish on the list. We've interviewed about 8 so far, just about their experience in managing and what they need to be successful in disasters. And there's a couple of people in the room who taken place. I saw Don looking back there, who donated their time just for a half an hour to sit down and have a casual chat with us about how they manage in disasters, what's important in disasters. Eventually it'll go public and you'll see it. At the moment, we're just ticking a few boxes with our organisation to get it public. But for now, it'll keep growing, and I may reach out to a few other people in the room to have a chat with us. But that's helped to inform the product that Julianne's got.
So some of the emerging results that we found in terms of the research was stuff around just the sheer number of ways that individuals within disasters learn. It's not traditional like book learning. They're learning from all kinds of different ways, particularly when you're thinking about good operators and learning through mentoring and experiences. And the role of innovation tools is so infrequently discussed or used. So some of the tools that are my bread and butter, things like problem framing canvas or design thinking, or the ways that we collaborate and make sense of contexts of uncertainty, are typically not used. Overwhelmingly, this idea of, and this is also shown in the literature, this notion of well-being and resilience in teams. So looking at post-event evaluations in teams, in immediate teams, and collaborative sense-making together to provide support to individuals. And there's a particular theory called care theory, which focuses on the relationality of different types of relationships, and through those relationships create change. So given that a lot of the work that happens in disasters is through teams and relationships and individuals, understanding how care theory might work in this context would be really interesting. And then antecedents, these are some theoretical results that we've been looking at. Antecedents impacting communication and network partnerships. Co-designing through phases of the disaster. So typically, if we are co-designing together as a researcher and in practice, how can we do this in a way that creates meaningful, practical insights? Exactly what we were discussing before in terms of individuals collaborating together. Our current topic list includes creativity and creativity tools, including design thinking, team communication styles, acts of persuasion, and empathetic communication, sort of tagging onto this theory of care. Roles, tasks, information, and trust in collaborative teams, and well-being and resilience through organizational psychologists, including Ellie, who's our co-lead. So our next steps, what we plan to do as part of this pilot, which is rolling out at the end of this month, is actually do pre-post tests to make sure, whenever I'm doing something, I'm like, where's the evidence, where's the research? Pre-post tests of changes in creativity, cognitive flexibility, because we want them thinking in a more flexible way, or acknowledging or identifying who's already like that in the groups, because that's kind of a key skill that people in disasters need. And this idea of self-efficacy, which is about confidence to do the thing that you've just learned. And also a development of a 12-topic program for next year. So we've done 4 this year, but we're wanting to build on them with the view of creating a grad cert that sits more, not necessarily on risks and frameworks, but more on the human element of it, and understanding how that might sort of shape and guide disaster management.
Just as footnotes, what have we learned doing this? As our organisation, we've learned that it's very valuable to bring in other people, as in academics and research, because we've had our eyes opened to a lot of things. Inadvertently, when you bring those people in, they actually affect and mentor the staff around you, which has been a really lovely side bonus to the staff in our unit that has occurred. And people that think laterally, some things that we would never have thought of, because it was when the first discussion started happening, and I'm not an academic, and I was a bit, I don't think you can help me. I'm going, nah, I don't think so. Then I got sent an academic paper, and then I had to eat humble pie and ring back and say, okay, I believe you, let's get together and do this. So I think for us that these sort of collaborations are going to become the norm, that this is just not the one. We've probably got 2 or 3 or 4 on the line. I mean, that's what we're looking at for people like you. We gave IGEM a list of 8 things we'd like research and assistance with that we can do. So we are looking for people actively with IGEM. For us, what do we get out of it? We get people that can MacGyver their own shit, basically. For want of better words, they can go away, they can figure their own stuff out and get it done and be confident and competent, and they can then affect other people. That's where we'll probably ask for your help. I mean, we are trying to help the other agencies too. It's open to you, doesn't cost you a thing. Come and help us, and we're happy to share what we've done. And again, by availing yourself to this, eat a little bit of humble pie at times, and you'll find that you get a great return. We've got far more than we ever needed in other areas of how we do our business that will bleed into our doctrine and guidelines, our lessons, our technology landscape, how we're going to do AI. There's lots of things that this is sort of bleeding into. So, yeah, I'm happy to take any questions, or Julianne is anyway.
Thank you so much. We do actually have a question, or the first one. And if you're in the room and you don't want to use Slido, please put your hand up. We do have some mics that we can pass over. The first question there is, would the grad cert be available for people outside of the Queensland Police Service?
Well, actually, at this point, when George and I have been talking even about the pilot, we've We've been very lucky that we've got 15 from QPS, but another 15 are coming into the pilot that are other stakeholders. So it's not just a QPS thing, it's actually an us thing, which means that we're really genuinely interested in working with other stakeholders, because it's not QPS, it's everyone that experiences and is in stand-up. So that's definitely an opportunity.
I think eventually that's the sort of plan. It's not just for us. What this sort of lends itself to can go to any part of your business, and we've actually identified that within our own organisation. So it's done with the aim of helping everybody. If we do it just for ourselves, well, that doesn't help our community. It doesn't support community safety. So if you want to be part of it and or use it, be my guest. And it's a lovely legacy for all of yous that are going to be phasing out or have phased out and have helped us. Like Dawn, Mark, you're not phasing out, but you've helped us. And again, that was one of the really, really interesting parts. One, that these people availed themselves to be open and honest about their experiences in DM and where they come from. But the really, really interesting part that's come lately, it was mostly Gillian went through them all in the research and the interviews that in our state as well. We were not part of the interviews. We divorced ourselves from it so that it was transparent and we weren't putting our views on from our experience. But the really surprising thing was, hey, look at this. The themes that people like, great operators like Dawn had said is important, came out through those interviews and using the research. So it was like, yeah, wahoo, high five, we're on the right track. This is the right thing to do yet again. Julian?
Yeah, just yes. What he said.
Any questions from the room?
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
Not going to bite.
Well, good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.